on the photos. I'm sure everyone is very familiar with those. Those are the trash cans in Palo Alto. And so today we'll be talking about trash, and I have two experts with me. So Wendy is a zero waste coordinator, and Debbie is the associate director at Actera. So before we get started, I'd like to first ask you one question. So we know that Americans throw out lots of different kinds of trash, like paper, plastic bags, plastic forks, and say if we line them up, how many rounds would that circle the equator of the Earth?
That's such a hard question.
That's a lot.
Oh, I'll take a crazy guess.
Okay.
700 times? I don't know.
Okay, that's really crazy. You know how big the Earth
Yeah.
is, right?
So I was going to say 400, but mine's just as wild a guess as Debbie's.
You're both really wild, wilder than the Americans. So actually 300 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's
But
good.
it's
Doing better than we
Yeah,
thought, right?
yeah, that's
Not
right.
this bad,
yeah.
right? But it's really amazing how much trash we're producing. So I just wonder, what's going on? What's wrong with our current system? Do you have some idea, Wendy?
Well, currently we have what we call a linear system, how we deal with materials or resources through our society, and meaning we go and we mine or we cut down trees to make paper or whatever the material is,
okay.
or drill, right, to make plastic. We take it and make it at a manufacturing plant, whatever it is we're making, then we take it and have to transport it to wherever we're retailing it, where consumers come in and purchase it, and then they take it home and they use it for whatever small amount of time they use it for, and then they just toss it, right?
Yep.
Any material, and you toss it out of the curb, and it gets picked up, and some things get recycled, but many things get landfilled. They just get taken to the landfill and buried and pretty much forgotten about.
Yeah, so just what's wrong with just burying everything in the landfill?
I think part of the reason is we're running out of landfill space, and certainly close to the urban areas, we're running out of landfill space, and we have to truck it further and further, and that uses energy to carry it down in trucks. That's part of the trouble.
Plus, you only have so many resources, right? Do you really want to keep cutting down more and more trees, or can you just, use some of the resources you've already taken that are being put in these landfills and kind of mummified, and you're taking your resources and just taking them out of the system. The natural systems are very cyclical, and the Earth has figured out how to take something, use it, and then make it into something new. And when we have kind of killed that system and made this linear one, the Earth's just not set up for that. So now
I heard the plastic actually may be able to degrade once they sit in the landfill, right?
Well, some things actually do break down. That's why we have a problem with methane coming out of landfills that we need to
Like
capture
contaminating the water and everything.
and
right?
flare. And there's some
Okay.
things that leach out, get the rainwater comes down and pulls out the toxic chemicals, and they can come out. But for most part, by and large, things are, I call it mummified, or they just sit in the landfill and they don't break down. There's people have done studies and dug into landfills, and they can pull out perfectly good newspapers from the 60s, the 50s that you can read. I have
Just sell on eBay.
I have one from the lunar landing
And
that
you
we pulled
said-
out of ours.
Yeah, you said there was a head of lettuce or something you heard
So we
about?
pulled out a head of lettuce,
Incredible.
and it was 5 years old, and it still looked like a head of lettuce. It just does not, when you take out,
I don't understand why the lettuce rots in my refrigerator.
exactly.
Because
right?
there's oxygen.
I should
and,
put
yeah.
it in the landfill maybe. Okay, so it seems like there's a problem with landfill, right? So it doesn't really work so well. So I was thinking, since they don't break down, why don't we just burn it? Would that work? Incinerate the trash.
You can, but now you're getting rid of your resources again, right? So you're taking perfectly good things and burning them. And then when you start talking about like all these kind of odd plastics or different materials, there's a lot of chemicals in that. These are chemical soups, and you burn them and you start getting pretty nasty chemicals like dioxin and stuff
Yeah, I
being
heard there are
released.
over 200 dioxins. when we
And-
burn these. Yeah.
And they, even though they try to capture those in the incinerators and filter them out and with so forth, but you just need really tiny quantities of some of that stuff to be very, very toxic.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that for just one oil change people do at home can contaminate 1 million gallons of water. And the people actually
Yeah.
do that about, I think, a million gallons of those oil.
They do it on the driveway and they let it fall into the drain and then it flows out. When it rains, it washes out to the creek. And
Yeah, so basically that's like a trillion gallons of water
Yeah.
got contaminated just from people changing their oil. It's ridiculous. So I guess that probably wouldn't work too well. But let's see, I think we can probably do some outsourcing. We
outsourcing.
outsource everything, right? Outsource our textile, electronics, and I think we're doing even some of the business side. We get people in India to compute things for us. So why don't we just outsource the trash?
I think you have some video to show
Yeah,
a
I think
problem
we have
about
some video
that.
about outsourcing the trash. So let's
People
take a look.
sometimes do need to see to learn the story, to see what's going on. The developed world, led by the US, Europe, and other countries, is dumping thousands of tons of e-waste to China, India, and Nigeria every day. Computers, TVs, mobile phones, printers, and all the accessories. We don't think about what happens after the products become obsolete. So I was thinking, wow, if I can get some really cool image about how people are dealing with e-waste in China in very poor communities in a very primitive way, and it's very polluting, it's very environmentally dangerous, and then put up a website and get some people to talk about it, that would be really cool. I was talking to UC Berkeley about how the university is disposing of the computers, where it's shipping the computers and other electronics to, and where they dismantle the machines. The US does not have the capacity to really recycle because it's very toxic. You can see from the world map, the e-waste is going from the US to Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Shenzhen, Guangzhou even, because those are the transit points of e-waste traffic. When you click the button here, Guiyu Town, you go to the Guiyu Park. It's basically China's e-waste epicenter. It's getting shiploads of electronic waste from US, Japan, and other countries on a daily basis. You can see all the trucks coming by in town. It's very nasty. 80% of the whole town is revolved around e-waste industry. There are people dealing with e-waste. They buy and then they resell to other lower-end dealers. And they're mostly migrant families who really deal with the e-waste at the front line because they are the people who need the jobs most. They do not wear masks. You're seeing these people having no protection and dealing with all these toxic chemicals, trying to get a tiny bit of gold out of the circuit boards, and they swish around the circuit boards in the buckets with industrial acids so that they can melt down the metal skins. It's very choking. I stood there for a couple of minutes. It got my eyes burned, and I wanted to stay more, but I just couldn't. They dump everything into the river, so some water along the river have just become pitch black, like coal or soy sauce. It's impossible to really clean it up. That's the economy of the town. If you're going to clean up, the town is going to be over with. All the industrialized countries have signed what we call the Basel Convention, which is a treaty to ban the transboundary movements of e-waste, especially from first world countries to the third world countries. The US has been the only country where many say it's legal to export. If we are really going to solve the problem, we got to start with manufacturing industry. Apple, Dell, HP, and all the major computer makers. Their proposal is to reduce or eliminate the highly toxic materials used in the manufacturing in the first place. I have the companies and what their positions are, and the governments. There are two actually really good solutions. Drop-off events organized by local governments. This is one at Alameda City in California. Here actually is a better solution where people donate machines. This is what UC Berkeley donated to an elementary school in northern part of the East Bay Area. As the life cycle of electronics is getting shorter, and people are more enthusiastic about buying new gadgets like iPhones, iPods, whatever, the problem is going to be never end. This problem is going to keep going on and on.
So we saw the video. I actually read about it, that the migrant workers were working for only $1.50 per day to do all this. And the children had very high rate of lead poisoning, which is really sad. So what do you think about this? Why we're not in Basel, but what's your thoughts on this one?
Well, I think we clearly need to have a system here in California for recycling and dismantling them. And I know that there are ideas, too, about ways that you can design things so that they could be more easily taken apart. And that's an important thing, the design for recycling. So there's different ideas. And then there's the idea about extended producer responsibility. I guess we have that law now in California, right, where when you buy a computer, you have to put a deposit in, sort of like you do for bottles and cans.
Yeah, there's a, and they do have certified recyclers with the state, but I think there's clearly a lot more we could do to become more responsible for what we do in our materials.
Yeah, so it seems like we can't just burn it, we can't just bury it, and we can't just outsource it. Are there some other things that we can do to really solve this issue?
Well, I think zero waste is really a way to solve this issue, and it's not easy by any means. It's actually quite complicated to create because but in theory it's really simple. Zero waste is looking at the materials we have and creating them, like Debbie said, so that when we're done using them, they can be reused or recycled. Basically, for zero waste, if you have any kind of garbage, that just equals bad design. You did something wrong.
Okay.
And it's around us everywhere. It's modeled on nature. In nature, there is no waste. There is no garbage.
We created
this
garbage.
is a very human thing, right? And so the hard part will be that we've just created this whole linear system where we just extract it, heat and treat and beat and make things happen the way they are, and then we just get rid of it and bury it when we're done. And so we need to change kind of how we do things as a species.
Okay. So we're going to make it a circle again, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So basically we talk about the zero waste system, and hopefully that is something that may be able to solve our problems. So seems to me that we're trying to go into a new pattern of refuse, reduce, reuse, and recycle. And actually, there's some families are already doing that. And I think we can look at an example to see what we can do in order to achieve this zero waste goal.
I'm Bea Johnson, I'm 36, and I strive to live a zero waste lifestyle. Zero waste means reduce first, reuse second, and recycle last. What drives me and my husband is our kids' future. It all started really about 5 years ago. Our house was 3,000 square feet back then. We decided to downsize, and our current house is 1,400 square feet.
As a part of the process of moving and downsizing, we had to make choices. I'm Scott Johnson, I'm 47, and I'm Bea's husband. Bea was doing a lot of the research. She was figuring out what would it take to live a zero-waste lifestyle. And before I knew it, it was happening to us.
Once you start decluttering your home, it kind of becomes addicting. You want to keep doing it. I actually find that my creativity is being fed by finding alternatives for zero waste. In our previous home, we'd fill a huge can of trash once a week. This is how much trash we've collected in 4 months. My husband was really worried at first that zero waste was going to be too expensive, but I was able to show him that zero waste is actually a great thing for your wallet.
By focusing on bulk shopping or the farmer's market, we're actually cutting expenses out of our daily budget on the order of 10 to 15%.
We buy the conditioner and shampoo in bulk. We bring our bottles to refill. These are our cleaning products. This is a homemade cleaner that we made just with vinegar and Castile soap. And we use microfiber cloths to clean everything. We use compostable toothbrushes and we make our own tooth powder. And instead of cotton balls, we use reusable cotton pads. We buy milk in a reusable bottle and store veggies in laundry mesh bags instead of plastic bags. I realized that I could push it yet even a little further by just also bringing my own jars to the store. I bring 1 jar for meat, 1 for fish, 1 for cheese, and 1 for deli.
We take the old food scraps from the kitchen, any of the fruits and vegetables, and put them into this compost. It's basically a compost that uses red worms to process and decompose all the old food scraps.
I've seen other groups of people trying to do zero waste, but in our case, we got attached to doing it, and we could not picture going back to the way we used to live. We feel so much better and so much happier that I just wish everyone could feel this way. I don't remember the last time I took out the trash.
So we've seen a really great, impressive example of a family really going zero waste. But I think most families probably are not really ready at this point of time to do that. I wonder if there's something that all the residents can do to really reduce their waste.
Well, what we do with the program that I'm involved with is called Green at Home. And we train volunteers to visit people in their homes to reduce their energy consumption and also their water consumption. And we also can talk about zero waste as well. We give them materials, booklets from the city of Palo Alto that talk about the recycling program and our zero waste goals. But I can show you, if you like, some of the ways in which we share, save energy with our light bulb demonstration.
Sure.
And that's one way that we can also reduce waste, is reduce wasted energy.
Yeah, that's great.
For example,
is this free? Just curious.
The program is free, yes.
Oh, okay.
It's supported by the city of Palo Alto.
So I can just call in and people would come and...
Yes, you can set up an appointment. You can call us and set up an appointment. Yes, we're delighted to be able to do that.
I think I'll do that. Yeah, go ahead.
So we do have the light bulbs, and we give people 3 of the compact fluorescent light bulbs. But
3?
Yes. And I just wanted to show you, this is the old-fashioned incandescent light bulb, and I don't want to put my hand on it. It's too hot. 90% of the energy being used by this bulb goes to heat, and only 10% to illumination.
Only 10?
Yeah, so it was a good idea when Edison invented it over 120 years ago, but we want to move away from that and move on today to a more modern lighting system which involves these compact fluorescent light bulbs. And they're called compact fluorescent light bulbs because they're basically like the fluorescent bulbs up in the ceiling, only the glass tubes are twisted around like this so they will fit in the shape of a light bulb. And of course, what do you see about these bulbs?
Different colors, right?
Right, they're different colors. Many people see the compact fluorescent that sort of looks blue like this, and they don't like it.
Yeah.
But the idea is to let people know they do come in different colors, and you should go and buy different kinds. They're called white light, bright light, and daylight. Go buy one of each kind and try it out in your house and see which one you like. These bulbs are only 14 watts, and this bulb here was 60 watts.
Wow.
So for 42 watts, you get 3 times as much light as you get for the old-fashioned bulb. So it really saves energy. There's some other things, too, that we can show you about compact fluorescence. A lot of people say, well, I have a dimmer switch. I like to use my dimmer bulb. Well, compact fluorescents now come in a dimmer bulb as well. And you have to put it into the dimmer switch, but it will dim down, as you can see. And you'll notice this particular light bulb is also in the shape of a chandelier fixture, the little teardrop shape. So you can get them in different shapes as well.
Great.
So they will go down to be a dimmer like that as well. And then you can also get complex fluorescents that look like a regular bulb, but inside it is this twisted tube, and they
Wow.
just put the glass around it like that so that it looks nicer. So you can get them like that as well.
They can do everything now.
Yeah, they
They
do
even
all
look
kinds
like
of
the
things.
old bulbs.
Yes, it does look like the old bulb, and it's 1/5 of the energy. It's 14 watts instead of 60
Wow,
watts.
that's amazing.
Lastly, I have here to show you, these are called LEDs, light emitting diodes. And you'll notice that it's a very sort of a white light. And the city of Palo Alto has been encouraging people to use these for holiday lighting. This only takes 6.7 watts. It's even half of this. So it's very low, but it's very directional. And so it really shines very straight up, but not so much to the side.
I see.
Then this last one is also an LED, but it has a yellow colored plastic lens around it, and it tries to spread the light out. And this one only uses 2.4 watts, so it's
Only
really,
2.4.
think about 60 watts and 2.4 watts, but it's
Wow.
about the same amount of light, so much
Wow,
less
that's amazing.
electricity. These LED bulbs are more expensive, but the price is coming down now too, so they'll be developing much more of them in the future.
Wow, that's great. Seems like it will be able to get into most people's home very easily at
Yes.
this point of time.
Yes.
So that's great. And let's see, we can also do other things like the water conserving
yes.
forceps or
Yes.
shower heads, right?
Yes, the Green at Home program also will give people faucet flow restrictors so that they can reduce the amount of water that comes out of their faucet. They're very simple little things you can buy, and you just stick them in there. And it is an aerator, so it basically aerates the, I'm turning it the wrong way. It aerates the water. I'm not going to be able to do it. It aerates it, so
Yeah,
it
yeah.
comes out and
Okay.
it feels just as strong. And we give low flow shower heads that also have an on-off switch, so you can soap yourself up and then turn it off and then turn it back on again.
Wow, that's
And then we
amazing.
have a shower timer that you can turn up, so it's an egg timer.
I have
inside.
one. I love mine. Yes.
I
gives
think
you
I'll need one.
2 minutes, so you turn it upside down and you can make your shower be shorter. And lastly, what we do is we show people how to measure how much electricity their different appliances use. This is called a kilowatt meter.
Oh,
And you take an appliance like this hairdryer, you plug the kilowatt into the wall, and then you plug your appliance into it, and then you press the button there, and you see how much energy it uses. And if you turn it on, I don't have it plugged in right now,
Yeah.
but you can see how much energy
Must
it
be a
uses.
lot.
It's a lot, because
It's a
it
lot.
heats, of course. But there's some things you can plug in, and you see like a radio doesn't use very much at all.
I see.
So you can use your radio for a long time. But a hairdryer, of course, you want to turn it off after you've used it.
after you,
yeah.
otherwise you'll burn your
Yeah.
hair, I guess.
But the kilowatt meter is very helpful, and our volunteers will help people learn how to use that as well. And
Do you give that out for free also?
we don't give these for
Probably
free.
not,
bec-
okay.
Yeah, you only need to use it a few times to learn
But I
how it
think
works.
the library has them. You
Yes.
can check them out from the library.
Yes.
Oh, really? I can
Yes.
check them out from the library?
Yes, the city of Palo Alto and other cities around too have them.
Wow.
You go to the reference desk and ask for the kilowatt meter, and it has
Okay.
instructions on how to use it.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
So I guess we talk about reduce. Now the next thing is reuse. I think we actually have some interesting movie to show us about a nice project of something called Upcycle, the reuse part. Yeah, so we saw this is really amazing what they can do instead of cutting off trees to decorate. That's the Toronto Eaton Center. So they're actually, then the next step would definitely be recycle. Actually, these things are not really recyclable, right? We don't do this, right?
Correct.
We cannot recycle these either,
But
and not these, right?
Right.
Yeah. So it's amazing that there are lots of things that we just have to get into the trash. And from what we saw today, it's just whatever we put into the land dump, or we burn it, or we outsource, they eventually all come back to us. So unless we really reduce, like using our own mug, right? Otherwise, we'll just have to eat whatever we trash. And if we don't go to like help others to get everyone on board, like joining the block leader program, then we'll basically be eating other people's trash also. So it's something that we really have to do it together.
Right, we're all together on one planet.
Right.
Absolutely, it's a small world, and only together can we really solve this problem. Yeah.
Well, I think Palo Alto has been doing a really great job too with the zero waste policy and the ban on plastic bags and everything.
Yeah, I think you guys did great. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And
Thanks
it's
for
also
having
really
us.
great to have you.